Okay, today we're going to be installing the tailgate bucket assembly and all the components for the internals of the tailgate on one of our new tailgates. We have a brand new tailgate bucket, stainless steel, part number 1328, the actual handle 1326, the two latches, they are the same for the driver and passenger, 1366, the pivot bolt and the connecting port for the rod is 1322, and we also sell the wave washers with the nylon washers as well that go in between the pivot bolt, and that's 1321B, and then the driver and passenger rod 1355 and 1360 here. Also, we're going to be using one of our brand new stainless steel tailgate bolts. It comes with all the necessary hardware to mount the tailgate and all the components in the tailgate. We not only have this for the tailgate, we have it for the lift gate, a front fender area, seats, hardtop, and also we have a complete Bronco one available as well, with or without hardtop. Check it out on our website for current prices. First step to starting the new tailgate is to install the crush nuts. So how these work are, there's a threaded insert in the nut, and then there's a portion to the nut that is designed to be crushed in to the sheet metal. So first step, you dowel it in. Sometimes they're tight, they won't go in. You can take a small flat hammer, just tap them in, make sure they're in nice and so that one's down all the way. Once it's down all the way, you'll take your Allen bolt and the crush nut portion, thread it in until you bottom it out all the way against that. You'll need a 5/16 opening and wrench. You'll hold the back side of that tubular nut towards the bottom portion of it if possible. So you'll hold the back side of that tubular nut with your 5/16 opening and wrench. I like using the box end, especially on the upper portions. On the bottom, the lower two bolt mounts, you can't use the box end because you can kind of trap yourself on there. So use the opening in there. 7/16 opening wrench we put on, and basically you just start tightening it down. And as you tighten, you will start to crush that tube nut. So we'll go ahead and do that now. And as you go, make sure if you feel like you're slipping off, go ahead, switch it over. Sometimes the lip on the inside of the tailgate here will not allow you to get your box end on, so you can switch and use the open end on that portion if it's not working out for you. Alrighty, we're going to go ahead and do this, and then we'll get back with you. Okay, so we have this tightened down now. It's starting to crush. Basically, what you're waiting for is for it to get real stiff. You don't want to put your extra body weight in it because you can't over tighten this nut. So once you feel like your arms are kind of doing most of the work, and if you had to lean into it to get the rest of it tightened, you're kind of done. So maybe one last little push here, and that should be done. Get your 5/16 wrench off the back side. Next, you'll loosen the nut 1/4 turn about, and then we can go ahead and loosen out the Allen head. Shut it off. Alright, so we're on our final crushed tubular nut here. Tightening it up. You'll be able to tell as soon as you start crushing it. It'll start crushing fairly easy. The main key is to keep that 5/16 wrench towards the end of the tubular nut, and I'll show you what I'm talking about here when I'm done. So this one's tightened up now, so I'll switch my 7/16 deep socket back to off, loosen that nut up, and then I'll grab my Allen here, and that's a 3/16 Allen, and I'll back out that Allen nut, or Allen bolt, I'm sorry. Okay, so all those are crushed down. You can see they're flush. One issue I did run into is on the tailgate, this lip was quite long. It was rolled over quite a bit, and so that interfered with me getting my 5/16 wrench on. So what I did, I just bent that lip up slightly, and I'll go ahead and bend it back down with a, a smooth jaw plier. And what I can show you here, so basically this will be inside the tailgate. This is your crushed tubular nut. You'll thread this in, the Allen bolt will thread into it, and the main ticket here is to get your 5/16 wrench not all the way up here, because that's the portion that actually needs to crush. So you'll keep your 5/16 wrench down towards the bottom, take your 7/16, either open in a wrench or socket, I feel it's best to use a socket, and start tightening. And as you do so, you'll feel it instantly start to crush, and you can see right there that the nut has started to crush, the tube nut has started to crush, and that will pinch that nut into the sheet metal. Alrighty, so we'll go ahead and go to the next process now, but now you have a good idea of how that's supposed to be done. Just making sure that that 5/16, either the open end or the box end, is towards the bottom portion of that tubular nut. Okay, after we have our 4 crush nuts installed that are going to be holding the tailgate bucket in place, the next step is to go ahead and assemble your tailgate bucket and handle assembly. You'll take the pivot bolt and the link to the latch rods, put that together like so, drop the smaller nylon washer in place. That will drop in through the bucket like so. Alright, and when you have this notch where the tailgate handle is going to ride pointing at the nut, you should have the link bar facing perpendicular, so that needs to be reclocked. So we'll slide it off, turn it 90 degrees, drop it back on. Now you can see that that is facing at that nut, and that is perpendicular to the bucket. Next step, we'll drop on the large nylon washer, then the wave washer will go on next. The handle will be the next step. We'll go ahead and put the 5/16 nut down on there. Sometimes you have to just twist this a little bit to get this installed properly. Alright. Go ahead and hand tighten that, and then we'll use a 1/2" wrench to tighten it all up in place. Okay, the next step is to assemble the tailgate latch. They'll be dropped in facing where the taper is facing towards the rear portion of the tailgate. The longer rod would go towards the driver's side because it has to go to the opposite side of the tailgate handle bucket to connect to the link. The way that this works is you'll basically just rock it in like so, making sure that when you do so, this is facing down because that's how it's going to drop into the bucket. And next step is just to feed it in from the end. Alright, that's in place. You can see that the rod is sticking far enough through to connect to the opposite end of the bucket. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the passenger side in, get those tightened in using the stainless steel hardware in our kit, and then I'll show you how to hook it to the bucket. Okay, so once the tailgate latches are installed, the rods are connected, they're coming through. Basically, the next step is to hook the rods into the pivot and then put a cotter pin in. You can see how I've done that here. It is nice if you can depress them from the end or pull them through. You can use vice grips and do that, pull them through and hold on to them with the vice grips, and then drop them into the pivot here, and then you'll take your cotter pin, put your cotter pin in, and bend it around. After that's done, we'll go ahead and bolt the bucket into place, and basically your tailgate is assembled at that point, minus the light for your license plate, and then also you can still mount the pivots on the body as well as the strikes for your latches. Alright, so now we have the bucket installed. We'll go ahead, tighten up the 4 bucket bolts. And you'll kind of want to go back and forth, because if you tighten one down a little too tight, sometimes it's hard to get the next one in. I'll loosen it up a little bit when you kick the bucket over. Okay, your tailgate bucket's installed. The handle actuates the latch just properly. Obviously, I did this to a naked tailgate. You would want to check the tailgate first prior to any type of paint. You know, clean up any rough edges, tap the holes, get everything ready and prepped properly for paint. Paint your tailgate, keep it on a nice clean surface, reinstall everything like you've been shown in the video. If you have any questions, you can call TOMS Bronco Parts at 541-779-1339. That's our tech line, and speak to one of the techs.